sourwood or other similar mid-sized shade tree would be great to improve the aesthetic of that of the exposed end of the property. In my opinion, if the board requires such a tree, it would need to be installed at a very, it need not be installed at a very large size, but given the opportunity to grow in time, perhaps 2 to 2.5 caliber.
You need two and a half to start,
Right,
so it can be smaller.
right.
So she's talking about that one, that 4-story facade that we read.
That we were
Yeah,
talking
and
about.
we were talking about,
Yeah.
so it's in
One really good
oxidendric,
tree.
and it doesn't have to be a huge one.
Right, exactly.
Yep.
But they're a great tree. Be a nice specimen tree.
Is that the same as the sourwood, or?
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
So this is something around, and this kind of around near these oaks?
Yeah.
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 I mean, I think she was talking more in here because I think the issue was coming up.
Well, I think we've already screened that side of the house with these pines.
I think you've
that we're
screened it, we
proposing
just thought
putting in
that instead of just this big expanse of open, that there would be something in that big expanse of open, a nice tree that would grow and be beautiful. It's not really, it's a scaling tree, not exactly a screening tree. So that it provides,
Whose benefit is it? Because we can't see it because we just
You'll
screened
be
it.
able to see it.
it would just, it would,
When it grows up. But
And as the pines grow.
when it grows up, it would be like, it would take the first off.
Pines are going to turn into trunks.
Yeah.
Those are white pines. So white pines don't stay bushy. They go up.
Fine.
It's
Great
like-
idea.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great idea.
Somebody who understands us.
I'm going to find it some.
What else does
That was it.
Not an issue.
That's why I have a partner.
It's always good to know who the outlaw is.
So, okay, so any other comments or questions from the board at all?
No.
I
Okay.
think it's very pretty.
Any
Be
comments?
gorgeous.
Any comments from the audience? If- Anyone? Could you just identify yourself, please?
Bruce Lee, 11 Hilltop, I'm the butter.
Okay.
At the beginning of this meeting, I believe Brian was going through the surrounding houses and the size of the houses, and I think now you decided that you didn't really need to go through that.
Well, they all look like they're about 4,000 gross square feet.
I don't know what they were, so that's why I was interested.
Oh,
in
I'm
seeing-
sorry.
I've never seen that exhibit, but if they're all the same, fine, but I thought there were some differences.
Not really.
Some of them are smaller, but
Slightly
they
smaller,
also
3,600.
are some bigger ones that are in the neighborhood.
There's one down on Old Road,
Yeah,
which is
Old Road.
which is 2,700, but the others are all 36, 32, 40, 4,000, 4,000.
And the ones across the street, which you didn't actually include, are
Bigger.
yeah, are bigger. These two are bigger.
There are only two on this that show they're 4,000 square feet.
The ones across the street. Isn't your house 4,000?
I think that
4163, 4,080, 4,026.
What do you have for 10 Pigeon Hill Road?
3687.
Sounds about right.
I think, Bruce, I think that you
Close enough
basically,
to
we
government
felt
road.
that the house was more or less in scale with the neighborhood, maybe not of the particular houses that are picked here, but of other houses within the neighborhood.
Well, I think it's clearly 20% larger than any of these houses.
The RGFA I heard was 4,000 and something.
2007.
Yeah,
It's larger.
a little.
It's larger and it's more than, it's larger, just leave it at that.
Well, let's put it this way. We see a number of these applications. We sometimes see in neighborhoods of 4,000 square foot houses, 9,000 square foot proposals. So compared to what we commonly see,
Yeah.
this is much closer to the norm of what's there than what we commonly see. That's what we're saying.
All right, that's all, I just wanted to have that clarification.
Okay, fine. Yes, sir.
Jeremy Wood, 10 Pigeon Hill Road. I look directly north at this, and my concern remains that in the enthusiasm to maintain the scenic woodsy road, that whatever is planted, be planted closest to the road, be low planting, that when I am in my car and my neighbors are in their car, it's not going to obstruct the view going around that corner, which is a very bad corner, as we hopefully all saw going around there. And I agree with all the other stuff relative to trees being planted for buffers and stuff like that.
Well, maybe you could just go over again the landscaping around that corner.
Yeah.
Yeah, this,
sure.
That sightline,
just sightline wise, going.
I've actually drawn a line through the sight line here, and anything to, let's call it, west of the sight line, these are deciduous ferns, which are this high,
Okay,
so
but coming up, how much of all of that
this,
All
like
that
these
stuff.
things,
come back further down the hill?
are you, I'm not sure where you're talking about, here,
Yeah.
here? here?
Down the hill, to
Down.
your right, back,
To your
Back
right.
down.
right.
Right, sorry,
downhill.
could you come up and just show me, and then I can.
There's a whole bunch of stuff in here which ought to be taken out that are either dead or dying.
We're doing that.
Well, we are taking
So,
all of these trees.
If anything's put in
Yeah.
as a buffer, anything
Yeah.
in here, it shouldn't obstruct, because your sight line, your need for a sight line, the way this road works, begins coming in here. That's all I'll say, for having lived there nearly 40 years
Is it
and watched
that-
all sorts
Jeremy, is
of
it-
crazy things happen.
It's not really exactly though the driveway, is it people coming down Pigeon Hill Road to the other
It's
side?
both directions.
It's both
It's people
directions.
going up the hill to that intersection as well as seeing what's coming up.
But what you've got to remember is that the dashed line on that drawing is the edge of the pavement. And so there's plant
There
material.
is no pavement.
Well, the edge of what you think
The right
is
of
the
way.
road.
At this.
No, it's not the right of way, it's
At
the
this- At
roadway.
this point right
Okay.
here,
And
this
this-
is probably about 8 to 10 feet right here, and
This-
we don't have any jurisdiction to add or remove anything right here. So,
Okay.
with, our property line is here, and what we're
Okay.
putting in is very low.
That's where the DPW comes in?
That's, well, okay. In Turkey, the way that's taken care of at night, people unilaterally inject things into the trees unbeknownst, and they die, and then they go
I
to
don't think you have
DPW.
to.
I'm not going
They're
to do
mostly
that.
dead anyway.
And
Most of them are dead,
And
and
the
he's
utility
taking care
company
of.
is doing a good job at killing off the rest. But I think Jeffrey had mentioned at the site walk that later on, as a separate phase, that he was going to prepare an application for scenic road hearing for removal of trees within the right of way.
Yeah.
mostly down on the south right of way.
Is where, yeah, is where
There's a lot on the corner. There's a lot of crap on the corner.
Yeah.
Any other comments? Anybody? No? All right, in that case, we'll continue the hearing to consider the draft conditions of approval till what date, Joe?
The 16th.
16th
at
of October?
9:15.
That's not, we're not gonna take testimony, we'll review the language of the conditions of approval, vote on that, and that's it.
Okay.
You never have to see us again.
What do I need to prepare for that? Anything?
No, you're done. I think
The
you're
only, the
done.
only thing is a final,
except for the
is a
changes.
final
There's some
landscape.
changes.
Well, what changes?
Right,
Oh, you mean the
right.
changes?
Yeah, with the changes.
Below the
So-
Memorialized, yeah.
Property.
Yeah,
You're
yeah,
right, you're right.
yeah, the oxygen, right? You're not getting away with that.
That's the
Sourwood.
Sourwood tree.
You
That's
want
going
the
in.
whole
You're done, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
This is cool, huh? You want to take your picture? Don't leave this.
That's important, that's an important one.
Did you say that you didn't have to come back? But they like us. They like us.
Anybody's welcome.
Then you can get on television at the comfort of your own home.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Bye.
Okay.
Back on the bike a couple times.
Okay, so we're ready to talk about addition at 17 Holly Circle.
Yes.
Somebody say yes?
Yes.
You did?
Yes.
Okay. And I think we can handle this pretty quickly. We've given this half an hour, but I don't think we're going to do that. If you can just quickly present the addition that you have in mind, and then we can open it up for comments from the board and our consultants, that would be great.
Sure. We thought we'd start with the civil engineering portion, and then go to the architecture. That's, unless you prefer the architecture first.
It's up to you.
You know, to keep it in context, why don't you throw off what we're looking at, which is just the addition.
Yeah. Well, the architectural portion is a single-story sunroom addition coming off the back of the existing house right here. It has a new masonry fireplace. The brick on the exterior is going to match existing brick, and the chimney cap details will also match the existing. We have an arched roof cathedral over the sunroom, and then we step down onto a new terrace with a flat roof over that, and there's a hot tub below that. This is the new bluestone terrace. We are reusing, there's about 70% of what we need here is already on site, so we're just going to reuse what's there. And the exterior is, it's going to be red cedar shingles, 7.5-inch exposure to align with existing siding, painted to match existing with white exterior trim. Here's the arch roof here, and then it transitions to a flat roof over the tub. We have these two column piers here, and the stone veneer that we're using on the tub and these piers are going to match an existing retaining wall, fieldstone retaining wall. If you could grab that for me.
Yep.
So this is the stone that we're going to use as a veneer around these two piers. Then they're capped with bluestone, which the terrace is bluestone.
That's it. Exterior lighting, what are you proposing?
The exterior lighting, actually. The exterior lighting, there are two existing lanterns on the existing rear wall. We're relocating those and putting them under the new roof. Under the new roof over the tub, we have four, they're about 1.25 inch diameter LEDs. They're simply there to wash the ceiling. And they're, the beams come, roof beams come down, they're on the inside face of the beams.
Well, shining up.
Well, it's essentially a flat ceiling, so we're washing across the flat ceiling for some ambient light. We're removing 2 existing spotlights, that's 4 lamps we're removing, and that's the extent of the exterior lighting.
All right, so where are you now with respect to the lighting level, and where will you be when you're done?
The existing conditions, I'm reading this upside down, the total lumens existing, 29,200.
And you've got that translated to watts, I see.
I do.
What does it come to in watts?
2310 total watts.
And where are you going down to?
We're going to 18,125.8 lumens, and watts are going down to 17,000, I'm sorry, 1777.6 watts. 1,777. So we're losing almost 400.
Yeah, that's good.
And they're also losing their big spotlights.
That's,
They have a lot of.
our old limit was 1,400 watts.
Yeah, 1440, yeah.
So something tells me we gotta reset that lumens thing, because they're going down to 17,000 lumens, which is like 5,000 lumens less than our limit, and they're still at
And they're still
almost
here.
18,000 watts,
Right.
1,800 watts, I mean.
And my new lamps, because they're
Yeah, that's
LEDs,
a
are
good
very
point.
low on lumens.
Yeah, okay.
Does that, yeah, does that make sense in any way in terms of the light, with the giving out less light somehow? These LED
Well,
fixtures?
it has to do with the efficiency of the units.
Some of them could be
in terms of
giving out
wattage
more light.
Relationship.
It could be giving out more light but using less electricity?
Yeah.
Or-
Yes.
Right.
That's
or
exactly
yeah,
right.
we're using more electricity, you know.
The watts.
So
used
hopefully
more
we're
The
not
light,
watts
going in
may
that
be higher
direction,
and
more
the
electricity
lumens may be
and lower
lower,
lumens.
depending on.
but you can get a lot more light for less electricity with lumens.
The watts on the,
Well, no, lumens is
line.
the measurement of the actual light.
I guess what I'm trying to say is that, as Al said, maybe we need to adjust because you can get a lot of, these could be quite well lighted houses.
Well, that's why we measure the lumens, the lit.
I know, but our standard now is, look, he's saying that,
We made our
that
standard.
17,000 lumens
Yeah.
produces 1,777 watts.
Watts produces.
No,
So-
it's the watts
so-
that produce the lumens.
Well, either way.
Either way.
Are you gonna follow it or not?
No, I follow.
Our limit is 22,000 lumens, which in our old wattage limit was 1,400, so there's a
Right.
disconnect there.
Right.
Okay.
That's,
But this is a discussion for perhaps
Yeah.
another
Well, I
time.
know.
it's a disconnect, because, never mind, we'll talk about it over beer.
And
Correct.
the other portion,
President.
we took two existing lanterns and we did move them under roofs, so they are not shining up.
And you took the big unshielded,
Yeah. No, it's
naked
not your-
spotlights off the corner.
I'm not throwing a
Are there
bomb
any
at
other
you, I'm just-
spotlights?
Yeah,
still on
it's
the house?
methodology for how we evaluate it, I think that's what else.
Well, when the fixtures are constantly changing the specs and the performance.
Yeah,
That's what we're
it's
saying.
hard,
That's
it's
why
a
we were
moving
confused.
target.
It's
And also,
hard.
these should be, like, some of the existing fixtures should be watt equivalents. Because,
Yeah.
yeah, so it's, are things working out,
You're
is
missing
the translation work?
You're mixing the
Right,
watts.
that's a question, you're right, that could be, the formula might be wrong.
Yeah.
Who knows, okay. The next, does this impact the next door neighbor at all, the site, look at the site plan?
It does not, we have,
Not one width,
Yeah, one way?
not one width.
What we have is, so basically this is the neighbor over at 7 Holland Circle. That's the one that's actually closest to the actual project. So you can actually see, this is the area where the existing recharge basin is. So where this is standing from the actual proposed terrace area, looking through the trees at the neighbor. We're proposing to take down no vegetation at all. So you can kind of see where the new addition is going to be. Here's the house coming, kind of going through this little section here. So you can see this minor, basically it's a one-floor addition through that section there. So it's very, very heavily screened as it is right now.
They already put in the trees.
Yep. You can see there's a better view of it. So here's the existing retaining wall, the terrace area, the addition's coming already in, and the terrace line right there. So you can see how well it is screened.
We have spoken face to face with that neighbor, given him the plan, showed it to him, and he was okay with it, to our knowledge.
Since you're talking about a hot tub in the woods, presumably people will be naked, so they'll probably.
They have young children, David. Give them 15 years till they're in high school.
The children are home.
Yeah, that's right.
Gotta think about these things.
I have two young girls too, I don't want to think about it.
Okay, great. Anything else, any other information you
The
want
only,
to?
the only little part was the drainage that we're going to be adding. The existing house basically already had a drainage system. It was built in 2008, had a drainage system for the roof and the driveway. Basically, the increase, we have an existing terrace in the back, small addition, and then the terrace is about 600 square feet more. So we're just utilizing the existing system already and adding a couple new units to it to take care of that new purpose area.
Okay. No new planning needed at all? It sounds like there's plenty already.
Right, yeah.
Great. Dave, any comments?
No, just one last thing, Jay. So you're gonna cut down the clean outs in the back?
Correct.
Was there one in the front that we saw too? Can you cut that one down?
The only one I think is the septic.
There's a septic,
Candy cane, yeah.
candy cane, but then down by the corner.
That's the
there's
only
another
one.
way.
We can do that one too.
Yeah, there's
another
another.
Okay, we can do that one too, yeah, just put the irrigation box over the top. And
You can just cut it down and bury it, put a metal cap on it or something.
Well, what we like, if you do is you cut it down like 6 inches below grade,
Yeah.
put that little plastic irrigation box there, it's super easy access, so this way you know it's gonna maintain.
Yeah, I just saw that, and the candy cane's gotta stay.
That has to stay, yeah, the cane itself has to be 3 feet above grade, so you can't cut that down at all.
Plants are on it though. I'm already lobbying the wife to do that.
You can do like things, you can turn it, they have like, they call it a dirty bird, it's a bird bath that actually has the vent below it, so you can run the vent off a little bit, put it next to some plantings and put a little bird bath.
Thank you. Thank you, Bird.
I'm sure that looks like the
Big
cell tower
plants,
trees.
Yeah, it
really looks like it fits in.
It's not bad if you put it against a lot of plantings, but yeah, when it's just standing by itself, you can tell it's not.
So Kim had said, I don't believe there needs to be any additional plantings at the site considering the low impact of the improvements and the existing vegetation.
Yeah. Comments from the board?
It's very nice. It's going to be lovely. We're all going over after it's done.
We'll bring suits though.
You don't want to see us.
Yeah,
Bad.
We're inviting ourselves, I think.
Yeah. Again.
All right, in that case, it sounds like this is.
Motion?
Yeah, well, yeah, we're gonna continue to review the draft conditions of approval for what they.
16th as well.
Holy cow.
That or we're pushing it off for 4 weeks.
Well, how much do we have stacked up now on the 16th?
On the 16th, I mean, this should be a pretty easy decision.
No, I know, but
So 7 o'clock, we have the joint meeting with ZBA.
that's gonna take a while.
Right, so,
And the historical commission.
okay, I wasn't aware of this.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
They gotta be there too.
Then we have the continued hearing for 546 South Ave. We have Scenic Road. We have the continued hearing where we're reviewing the draft decision for 0 Hamilton. Then 144 Beaver is going to be continued and discussion on our final article language and preparation of draft report. So 2 of those items already that night are things that we were preparing a draft decision and waiting for final information on.
I think we're gonna be here until midnight.
And we're starting at 7? Was that what you actually said?
Yep, 7 o'clock, and then basically give that an hour.
Okay.
Well, just out of curiosity, what do we have scheduled for the meeting after the 16th, the 30th?
That one, we have 19 Silver Hill. That's where some trees were cut down without anyone realizing they need to come back in front of the board. 54 Golden Ball, they received a building permit, they went to the ZBA, they kept 25% of the roof on. They found out that it's all mold, so they need to remove it all. So that's coming back to us. 102 Ash.
Boy.
3 Kings, 3 Kings Grant, and then 144 Beaver.
Yeah.
So I mean, the only
Not
other
a
thing
good night either.
is whether or not for some of these decisions, whether or not we can spare half an hour some morning.
I think we're gonna have to, otherwise I think we're gonna be up until midnight on the 16th. That just looks like it's stacking up.
Can you have it ready for after the sidewalk? You got a meeting
Yeah,
after
we
the
can do
sidewalk?
that.
Can
Yeah.
we just stop by after the sidewalk on the 16th?
Yeah.
That's a good idea. Let's do that. Because this
Yeah.
one is a simple one.
It is.
Yeah.
If we can knock these off as opposed to having to.
Okay.
That
Yep.
would be terrific.
Okay.
After sidewalk.
Okay. Thanks very much.
Thank you for your
So
time.
we don't know exactly, with that, are we scheduling the draft conditions review that after the site walk next week?
Yeah, I mean, I just would say 8:45 town hall, and at least if we end up getting back here a little later, that's not a problem. I don't see us being there.
We're not
earlier.
taking testimony, we're just gonna review the language of the decision.
As the owner, do I need to be here?
You
for
don't
that,
need to
or-
be here, you can come if you'd like.
Do you want?
No,
Okay.
no, we're just gonna look at the
Okay.
decision language and
Okay.
no surprises,
All right.
guaranteed.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
91 Dean Road. Minor modification?
Yeah, Jay's here for this one.
Okay.
Well, actually, didn't bring that folder with me. It's all on the boards, but their scale is terrible.
Where is it? It's in here somewhere?
Yeah, 91 Dean is in your packet. If you want to review it, I'll run up and get the folder.
Thank you, Jay.
You're welcome.
Well, this is a phasing deal.
Yep. Basically what they're doing is, they're removing the approved paddle court area, replacing that with a permeable sports court. And then we also had a shed on the project site that was gonna be kept, like a portion was gonna be removed, the rest was gonna be kept. It's been, since the construction started, it's basically starting to fall apart. So we're proposing to take that shed down, and then put a new shed in its place, which will be smaller in footprint. So the RGFA actually for the project is going down by about 140 square feet.
The shed is this little, that little guy right
Nope, that's, that one was removed. That was
Okay.
one that was removed. The new shed is over here, so what happens is you can see this little hatch next to it right there?
Yeah.
That's the former shed.
Oh,
So that's being removed, the new one is gonna be replaced in this section here. This is the old paddle court, which in this area, and then this is the new sport court that's gonna go in. So the old paddle court is about 175 square feet larger than the new sports court that's gonna
So
be
we look
proposed.
at smaller.
Wait, say that again?
So you had a former approved paddle court area.
Yeah.
The square footage for that is about 175 square feet larger than what we're proposing for the new permeable sports court.
so it's a
So
smaller
this is
shed.
a reduction.
Reduction in, yeah,
in
reduction
both.
in both. So it's reduction in RGFA, reduction in disturbance, reduction in impervious area.
Any change in lighting or anything?
Nope, nope. And what they're doing right now for this area is the landscape's gonna change slightly, but not in size, not in quantity, not in type. So what they're doing is now, because the paddle court is different, they're just reworking the landscaping that was approved in that area. But they're keeping the same amount of trees, same species, same heights.
Now, is this, it was an approved future sports barn, so that's still
They still want to keep
future
that option, yeah.
option?
Yeah.
So, and what's changed is behind?
Yeah, no longer are we gonna do the paddle court, they wanna do the permeable
Sort
sports
of
court.
sports court, so it's not just the paddle court.
Right. Yeah, what happens is the paddle court is, you can only really use it in the wintertime, because of the actual ball has to, the actual temperature has to, it's a certain temperature to be able to use the ball for the paddle court.
Has to be only in the winter?
Yeah, so it's when it's cold out. So what happens, and then because there's no lights on the board, of course, there's, you can't really get much use out of it. If you get home from work, that kind of stuff, so they figured they get a lot more use out of the sports court.
Sports court would be like a basketball.
Exactly, yeah.
So is the house built?
House is built, yes, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, I thought that was bad.
So
It's still,
And how big is the sports barn?
the sports barn itself is, it's 1,671 square feet.
This is the approved plan.
right, we just went over it.
Just so
So what they're trying to do is basically reserve the rights to make, eventually install this, remove this paddle court area, install a sports court that's about 175 square feet less than this paddle court area.
And in the same
Same footprint, correct,
In
yep.
the same area?
Yep.
But you're proposing to cut to, what is this gonna?
This here, this is the planting and this is the node strip. So we're still well within the,
So you're still within the notice, or you're
Correct.
still within, okay.
exactly.
You're not changing that limit at all?
No limit over, and what happens is, this area is all within a 200-foot riparian, so we can't really modify any of the disturbances in that area.
Looks like a slam dunk.
Yeah. We could make this one quick.
Yeah.
You mentioned about the log cabin.
Yeah, so what we have is, this is the former one that I mentioned, and we're making a smaller one, so it's, the new one's basically, it's 14 by 20, so it comes up in this ballpark over here, so it's
What's it
significantly
gonna
less
look like?
size. The, actually, the elevations, did I forward you the
I saw him.
Yeah. For some reason, I can't put that on
I took the train tomorrow, I was trying to cut down the way.
Because it's right
It's
on
got
the
like
street.
it was nice. You know the form of the front of this end of the house? I don't know if you remember it.
How much is like
Right, gambrel roof.
Yeah, I think, as I remember I don't know why.
Yeah, what happens?
It has that feature.
The door, it's, basically, it's gonna look like a small little shed, it has a little, almost like barn door type of thing right here.
Yeah.
And David mentioned a little gable roof to it, and it's just, it's basically like, it's like 12 feet tall or something like that, and it's very small, 14 feet wide, and it's 20 feet long. So from the street, it's gonna look very narrow, it's not gonna look like much color.
What's the siding material?
They didn't actually have that on the,
No.
yes.
We don't know what it is.
This is.
Yeah, there it is.
Big
It's
square.
20 bucks.
No, it doesn't look like a log cabin.
The lines.
There's the front door.
It's like,
So it looks like a
weedy.
little bar.
Rust- This is rustic plank siding.
Right, so that's.
So there's those,
Is that what they have
It's
on
on
the
that
house?
board.
The what?
Yeah, is the siding that uneven siding?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
that's thick. So this is proposed, this is the
Correct,
proposed.
that's the proposal,
That's-
yeah.
Okay. But there's, looks like there's a bump out here.
Well,
There's a
yeah,
shell
this,
on
well,
the-
this is the formally approved one. This is the actual one.
Oh, gotcha, gotcha,
Yeah.
gotcha.
What we're doing is we're gonna be inside this, we're gonna be about right here,
Yeah, okay.
and it's gonna be 20 feet long. Yeah,
Good
this,
minimum.
this was the old, this used to be like this was a log cabin,
Hmm.
barn type thing, that used to be it. But it's basically, it's like I said, since the construction side, we had already moved the one in the back. This one's literally started falling apart, and it's actually, the roof's caving in a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I just wanted to be sure it wasn't a wall pole.
Oh, no, yeah.
Yeah.
No, it definitely was, Patrick actually designed it, it's definitely keeping with the.
Architect
house.
designed it.
Exactly, with his house.
That's what we like to
Oh, yeah.
8 years of education.
Designed this shit, yeah.
Okay. Anybody? You all set? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this is good. The minimus. You like that?
Well, does somebody
That's
feel
a tough word to say.
inclined to make a motion?
Oh, all right. I move that we accept these minor changes.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Sure, I should say,
Aye.
91 Dean Road, Weston.
All right. Let's see.
Campus TV.
Next, we have the public hearing site plan review for
Thank you, Dave.
fiscal office
Night,
campus
everybody.
Take care,
TV.
drive carefully.
Is that you, Miller?
Yes, sir.
All right. So we have some documentation.
Chris, the team developer,
Okay.
Mm,
Well,
Doing something fun.
communing with housing, campus housing authorities.
you're looking for waivers from site plan review standards, rules and regulations. Which waivers are they looking for?
So, in the documentation, let's get to that page. They're looking for waivers from, sorry, as I get things right. There's the memo here from Campus TV. And they've identified information that they're submitting regarding use description, site improvements, waste disposal, light, shadow, sound, and signs. They're requesting waivers from stormwater, traffic, landscape, site utilities, waste disposal, and light, because they are proposing no changes to the existing building, they just want to occupy the building as is. So the last page of your handout is basically the memo detailing their submission of material for use description, how waste is going to be handled, how light and shadow is going to be addressed, and signs, which they basically say they don't want to sign right now, and that they will come back to the board with a sign for the board's permission once they find something that is fitting with the historic nature of the building.
Okay. So, number one, what I see is a statement that there are only, that the occupancy of the building is going to be limited to 4 people.
I think the 7 was what was discussed.
It says 4 here.
There's 3 full-time and yourself, part-time.
That's what it says.
Yeah.
I didn't write that, so I did attend the selectmen's meeting last time.
What is it? I mean,
7 is what the kid discussed.
how big is the building?
It's big enough to take 7.
7 would,
Well, how big is the building?
working in there?
It has 4 rooms.
I know. How
It's
big
like-
is the building?
It's under,
You don't know.
under
I think
1,000
it's
square
pretty hard.
feet.
Oh, it's under 800.
Oh, it's under 800?
Yeah. I mean,
What's the question?
it's 10 square feet a person. I mean,
No.
or less than 100 square feet a person anyway.
It was 100.
Gross square footage.
At the time we did it.
Where are they going to
it
fit?
was 115 when I did the math.
But where are they going to fit? I mean,
Two in each room.
Are they all going to be there at the same time, or they're?
Probably not.
But because how could you have, just need the 2 parking spaces
well, it's
plus
not,
street
it's not
parking?
2. It's 1 non-handicapped, 1 handicapped. That's it.
Oh, you can't, no, a
That's it.
non-handicapped person
Can't park in the
park
handicap
in the
space.
handicap.
Right. So there's 1 parking space. I mean, that's one of
That's
the
not what they
questions.
told us, but, okay, anyway, there's plenty of
Who
street
told you
parking.
what?
Since if there's no handicapped employee.
Who told you? Okay.
Maybe.
Listen, if I can park in a handicap space, I'd
Well,
be
if it's not a
delighted.
public handicap space, it's a handicap space on leased property.
Yeah.
And if we need to take the sign down, we can, but
But
I
you
think-
have to have a
I mean,
handicap
it seems
space.
to me that it would be better for the town
It's
if
required by
the
state
town would
code.
let them park in the handicap space. So, I
Well,
mean,
here's my point.
but still, they have too many,
come to
they
the
have a lot of
office.
people on the street.
I wonder about the population.
There's
The other-
no customers that come to the office.
It doesn't say that. It says, it has 4 employees and not be hosting many meetings. But it doesn't say no meetings. It just says they won't be hosting many. So then there's a question of how many people come to the meetings and how often the meetings are. But beyond that, if this is 800 square feet, I think that's what was said at the selectmen's meeting. There's a parking code for business and commercial use in Weston, which is, I believe, 5 cars 1,000. So in this case, we've got 2 parking spaces when we really should have, the town should have 4. Just let me finish, Miller. My question here is, we don't have the authority to pass on something where we know that there's a conflict with the zoning regulations. What we need to do is get something from somebody, the building inspector or the zoning board of appeals or somebody, that says it's okay with the town for these guys to park on the street. Because they're gonna be parking on the street.
But if parking is within 300 feet, that's available.
No. This is site plan review.
Right.
We can't say it's okay to park on the street off-site. We can't say that. The town can say that, but we can't.
The ZBA can say that.
The ZBA can say it, the building inspector can say it. He can let them off the hook for the parking regulations, but we can't let them off that hook. We don't have the authority to do that.
So then we could condition things that they obtain the required proof from the building inspector.
We have to do that. I mean, somebody, I don't know if it's the building inspector or the zoning board of appeals, somebody has to say it's okay for these guys to park on the post road.
Yeah, I mean, I think it would be the building inspector because he make the determination whether it complies with the parking requirements.
Whoever.
Which,
If
that's
you
how
have-
we
Not us.
traditionally handle it.
If you have 7 employees, I mean, that would be 7 cars,
Yeah.
basically, because you can't get here
I mean, I think that
That's
I don't think it's 7 because, I mean, I'm just saying what they wrote. They said 3 full-time, 1 part-time, and growth of 1 more. I'd sort of say site plan under those conditions, anything changes, that it comes back to the board.
Yeah, so in other
But
words.
we wanted permission to be able to have 7 if that's the way it works out, rather than have to move out.
Well, it doesn't say that here, Miller.
I think we could only give permission for
I don't-
the, what you say you actually,
I'd need a
I don't
furniture
know.
layout to see 7 people in this building, frankly.
7 is not what they're asking for here.
They're not, they're asking for
But-
4 and a
Approval-
part-time.
Approval submission, right?
I mean, we can approve what's asked,
Right.
what's here.
That's right. Plus, there are gonna be meetings with additional people besides the 4. We don't know what size meetings there are gonna be, or how many they're gonna be, or, so there's an additional number of cars from time to time that will have to park on the post road.
Right.
So we need to get that nailed down.
But the
Well-
parking is determined by the size of the building. I mean, when we have office use, if they're having meetings,
4
we don't.
cars, 1,000. No, I think it's 5 cars, 1,000 in Weston. This is almost 1,000, according to
Right.
their calculations.
Right.
So they need at least 4 cars by our own zoning code.
Right.
So they need relief. And the question is, how much relief is the town gonna give them? 3 cars, 7 cars, how many people are coming to the meetings, when are they coming to the meetings?
But what I'm saying is the parking requirement for office use is based on the square foot of the building. It's not on whether they have meetings. So they need to provide parking based on the size of the office building. That's what our bylaw requires.
You mean
Doesn't
not a
differentiate
number
whether
of
it's-
people that you put in.
Right.
Well, on the
I mean, they have occupancy
Right.
limits that
And
for the
what-
building itself, but.
And you're saying that it's 5, and Elle's saying it's 5 cars
5
per
cars, 1,000.
1,000.
Yeah.
But, okay,
But they don't have 5.
They don't come and work
They
for us.
don't really have that.
it's
Right,
short of
it's-
3 cars. It maybe 4, depending
With
on what.
respect, we didn't build it. And whoever was in there before was a town office.
I'm telling you what we can and
No,
can't.
I hear you, I understand the dilemma, but
It's
I was
not a dilemma,
surprised.
we can't make that decision.
I was surprised when I read the RFP, because there were so many non-conforming little details.
Yeah.
We need to get somebody in there.
There are bathrooms.
What
Yeah.
did the RFP say about parking? Did it say anything about parking?
Sure, I mean, I don't remember what, said we had to come here. And I think we had to talk to the
There
building.
you are.
I think we
So
talked
here
to
you
the
are.
building inspector too.
Yeah.
And we're trying to coordinate all these things, and
Yeah.
it is very complicated, because everything relates to everything else.
I think we gotta limit the population to the number that the application asks for, and we need a memorandum from the building inspector saying that it's okay for them to park on the street. In connection with that really unsightly asphalt apron that was put in there for DPW temporary use, is that gonna become a permanent eyesore, or is the town gonna do something about that?
Jerry McCarty said that spot was required in order to meet requirements of the building inspector for parking.
You mean
For
this?
DPW.
For DPW.
Right, for
and
DPW.
what
So,
about this?
For this,
So this is
if
this-
the board's inclination is that spot should be removed, then we should ask from the building inspector for verification that parking off-site can be used to satisfy the parking demands to allow for that temporary space to be removed.
When that went in, it looks like hell because it was only meant to be temporary. So if it's going to be permanent, then at least it ought to look permanent. It just looks like something that was an afterthought, So that would be something for the town to address, it seems to me. Again, it's off-site, so we don't have any control over that, but a strong recommendation would be to make it look like it's something besides just somebody's idea of throwing asphalt down on the street.
Yeah.
Well,
Looks pretty
probably that should be brought up with Donna. but-
Well, also, I mean, they delayed it a year, but that may be the post road, when they do it next year, that may be something that gets slated to be part of that project.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
the only thing I hear that worries me a little bit is I now remember that I did some research on the 7 versus 4 question. And I found that the normal for, admittedly, for open plan office space, 115 is a normal average in today's world because of hosteling, people using,
115 square
spaces.
feet.
115.
That's net square feet.
I know.
This is gross square feet you're talking about. The 800 and something is gross square feet.
I really did look at the square footage in figuring that. So I think it's, I don't think it would be appropriate to limit it below that because there are normal industry standards.
There's a civilian inspector's purvey to determine the occupancy.
No,
Fire departments.
I mean, my recommendation would be hold to the application, and if that's not appropriate, then
Application
modify
says
the
4.
decision.
I want to see how 7 people fit in this building.
Well, if we
The
hold to the
application says 4
application,
people.
then, and they want to have
It's
more,
fine
then
with
you
me.
would
I
have
think
to come
4 would
back.
work.
I mean, it's not, but
And
then,
you'll be back-
That's why we asked for 7, so we wouldn't have to have.
but they,
Well, you're gonna need to
they
come
should have
back
put all
anyway when
7
you
on
decide.
the proposal.
I mean, and you state that in the
Yeah,
application.
no, that, we're happy to, I don't think we're even
I mean,
have a sign.
You even, it says that, have you read the application?
Absolutely, I did, not the one to you.
Well, that's the
The
one
one that
we're,
came to the town in response to the RFP.
that's a different thing.
Well,
This is the
that's
one to
right.
us. This is the one to us that we
No,
are working.
I was out of the loop on that, I
All
apologize.
right, would you like a copy?
No,
I'm sure, I mean,
I'm
because
sure I got one.
it doesn't
but
talk
was
about
already-
7 people, it does talk about coming back for a sign. I mean, I'm
Well,
sure.
there's no problem with the sign. I'm sorry.
It surprises me that it surprises you.
Well, because I didn't write it, and it's one of my
But you're here
principals.
as the representative.
Okay, they're in Albuquerque. And I'm trying to explain to you that our conversation with the selectmen and with Donna
I think
was a maximum of 7. and
But
we'd
that
like
has
to have
nothing to
that.
do with us.
David, we don't have to actually go around this track again.
You can do what you want on the matter, but I didn't, four is probably going to be tough.
Well, if you need more than 4, you're going to be looking for another place, I think. I just don't see any, I must have done 1 million square feet of office layouts, and I've never seen a density that high in 40
You're
years.
limiting it to 1 per room, which I think is a little excessive.
Have you seen the front 2 rooms?
Of course, I've been through
Okay.
this thing carefully. I don't want to be in there when there's 7
I
people.
really don't want to go around the track again.
So what are we doing?
We're going to condition it based on the occupancy requested in the proposal to the planning board, and accept the, I recommend we accept the waivers they're requesting, but we can't issue the conditions of approval until we have a memorandum from somebody that says that it's okay for them to park at least 3 cars on the street.
Yep.
And what are the waivers exactly?
They're basically from the full submission of the stormwater traffic, landscaping, lighting, waste disposal.
Okay, so stormwater,
They're not making.
All the
any
basics.
you're not changing,
All the
okay.
basics, you're not touching anything.
You're not adding lights, you're taking the waste off-site, the dump, and not add signs, okay. So those are the use description. Stormwater traffic.
So you want me to